Seven's not nothing, right? It's okay. I was wondering if I could come back with that. Hare Krishna. Yesterday? That's huge. 6 and 3 Bhagavatams. So 10 sets altogether. Wow. Hare Krishna. Good to see everyone. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Yeah, nobody in Silicon Valley except for y'all make garlands. Everyone else is busy working on computers and everything. I think you have the most fortunate service of anybody. Yeah. It's a very personal thing to make garlands for Krishna. Really nice. Thank you for your steady, steady service. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual masters, Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're continuing our reading of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're on the Adi Lila, chapter 5, the glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. And we're starting up at text number 52. Vaikuntha Bedya Ek Ache Jalanidhi Ananta Aparatar Nakila Avadhi. Surrounding Vaikuntha is a mass of water that is endless, unfathomed, and unlimited. The earth, water, fire, air, and ether of Vaikuntha are all spiritual. Material elements are not found there. The water of the Karna ocean, which is the original cause, is therefore spiritual. The sacred Ganges, which is but a drop of it, purifies the fallen souls. In that ocean lies a plenary portion of Lord Sankarshan. He is known as the first Purusha, the creator of the total material energy. He, the cause of the universe, the first incarnation, casts his glance over Maya. Maya Shakti resides outside the Karna ocean. Maya cannot touch its waters. Maya has two varieties of existence. One is called Pradhan or Prakriti. It supplies the ingredients of the material world. Purport: Maya, the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is divided into two parts. Maya is both the cause of the cosmic manifestation and the agent who supplies its ingredients. As the cause of the cosmic manifestation, she is known as Maya, and as the agent supplying the ingredients of the cosmic manifestation, she is known as Pradhan. An explicit description of these divisions of the external energy is given in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:24, 1-4. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:63-26, the ingredients and causes of the material cosmic manifestation are described as follows. Kalo daivam karma jiva swabhavo dravyam shetram prana atma vikaraha tad sanghato bijaroha prabhavas twan mayaisha tan nishedam prapadye. O my Lord, time, activity, providence, and nature are four parts of the causal aspect, Maya, of the external energy. The conditioned vital force the subtle material ingredients called dravya, and material nature, which is this field of activity where the false ego acts as the soul, as well as the 11 senses and the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, which are the 16 ingredients of the body. These are the ingredient aspect of Maya. The body is generated from activity, and activity is generated from the body, just as a tree is generated from a seed, and that is generated from a tree. This reciprocal cause and effect is called Maya. My dear Lord, you can save me from this cycle of cause and effect. I worship your lotus feet. For those of you who are online, we welcome you. Thank you for joining us on the internet. And if you'd like to text in a message or say Hari Bol, you can text to 650-245-7018. That's 654-245-7018. We'd love to hear from you. Our operators are standing by to take your texts. Continuing the purport, although the living entity is primarily related to the causal portion of Maya, he is nevertheless conducted by the ingredients of Maya. 3 forces work in the causal portion of Maya: knowledge, desire, and activity. The material ingredients are a manifestation of Maya as pradhan. In other words, when the 3 qualities of Maya are in a dormant stage, they exist as prakriti, avyakta, and pradhan. The word avyakta, referring to the non-manifested, is another name of pradhan. In the avyakta stage, material nature is without varieties. Varieties are manifested by the pradhan portion of Maya. The word pradhan is therefore more important than avyakta or prakriti. Text 59. Because prakriti is dull and inert, it cannot actually be the cause of the material world. But Lord Krishna shows his mercy by infusing his energy into the dull, inert material nature. Thus prakriti, by the energy of Lord Krishna, becomes the secondary cause, just as iron becomes red hot by the energy of fire. Therefore, Lord Krishna is the original cause of the cosmic manifestation. Prakriti is like the nipples on the neck of a goat, for they cannot give any milk. Purport: the external energy composed of pradhan or prakriti as the ingredient supplying portion and Maya as the causal portion is known as Maya Shakti. Inert material nature is not the actual cause of the material manifestation. For Karnadakshai Mahavishnu, the plenary expansion of Krishna, activates all the ingredients. It is in this way that material nature has the power to supply the ingredients. The analogy given is that iron has no power to heat or burn, but after coming in contact with fire, the iron becomes red hot and can then diffuse heat and burn other things. Material nature is like iron, for it has no independence to act without the touch of Vishnu, who is compared to fire. Lord Vishnu activates material nature by the power of his glance, and then the iron-like material nature becomes a material supplying agent, just as iron made red hot becomes a burning agent. Material nature cannot independently become an agent for supplying the material ingredients. This is more clearly explained by Sri Kapiladev, an incarnation of Godhead, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.28.40. Yatol mukhad vispulingad dhumadvapi swasambhavat apyat mat vinna binmatad yatagni pratug ulmakat. Although smoke, flaming wood, and sparks are all considered together and as ingredients of a fire, the flaming wood is nevertheless different from the fire, and the smoke is different from the flaming wood. The material elements, earth, water, fire, etc., are like smoke. The living entities are like sparks, and the material nature, as pradhan, is like the flaming wood. But all of them together are recipients of power from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are thus able to manifest their individual capacities. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the origin of all manifestations. Material nature can supply only when it is activated by the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as a woman can deliver a child only after being impregnated by the semen of a man, so material nature can supply the material elements after being glanced upon by Mahavishnu. Therefore, Pradhan cannot be independent of the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Prakriti, the total material energy, works under the superintendence of the Lord. The original source of the material elements is Krishna. Therefore, the attempt of the atheist Sankhya philosophers to consider material nature the source of these elements, forgetting Krishna, is useless, like trying to get milk from the nipple-like bumps of skin hanging on the neck of a goat. Text 62. The Maya aspect of material nature is the immediate cause of the cosmic manifestation, but it cannot be the real cause, for the original cause is Lord Narayan. Just as the original cause of an earthen pot is the potter, so the creator of the material world is the first Purusha incarnation, Karnadakshayi Vishnu. Lord Krishna is the creator, and Maya only helps him as an instrument, just like the potter's wheel and other instruments, which are the instrumental causes of a pot. The first Purusha casts his glance at Maya from a distance, and thus he impregnates her with the seed of life in the form of the living entities. The reflected rays of his body mix with Maya, and thus Maya gives birth to myriad universes. Purport: the Vedic conclusion is that the cosmic manifestation visible to the eyes of the conditioned soul is caused by the Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, through the exertion of his specific energies, although in the conclusion of atheistic deliberations this manifested cosmic exhibition is attributed to material nature. The energy of the Absolute Truth is exhibited in three ways: spiritual, material, and marginal. The Absolute Truth is identical with his spiritual energy. Only when contacted by this spiritual energy can the material energy work, and the temporary material manifestations thus appear active. In the conditioned state, the living entities of the marginal energy are a mixture of spiritual and material energies. The marginal energy is originally under the control of the spiritual energy, but under the control of the material energy, the living entities have been wandering in forgetfulness within the material world since time immemorial. The conditioned state is caused by misuse of the individual independence of the spiritual platform, for this separates the living entity right in the best part from the association of the spiritual energy. But when the living entity is enlightened by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee and becomes inclined to revive his original state of loving service, he is on the most auspicious platform of eternal bliss and knowledge. The marginal jiva or living entity misuses his independence and becomes averse to the eternal service attitude when he independently thinks he is not energy but the energetic. This misconception of his own existence leads him to the attitude of lording it over material nature. Material nature appears to be just the opposite of the spiritual energy. The fact is that the material energy can work only when in contact with the spiritual energy. Originally, the energy of Krishna is spiritual, but it works in diverse ways, like electrical energy, which can exhibit the functions of refrigerating and heating through its manifestations in different ways. The material energy is spiritual energy covered by a cloud of illusion or maya. Therefore, the material energy is not self-sufficient in working. Krishna invests his spiritual energy into material energy, and then it can act, just as iron can act like fire after being heated by fire. The material energy can act only when empowered by the spiritual energy. When covered by the cloud of material energy, the living entity, who is also a spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, forgets about the activities of the spiritual energy and considers all that happens in the material manifestation to be wonderful. Construction going on. But a person who is engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness and who is therefore already situated in the spiritual energy, can understand that the material energy has no independent powers. Whatever actions are going on are due to the help of the spiritual energy. The material energy, which is a perverted form of the spiritual energy, presents everything pervertedly, thus causing misconceptions and duality. Material scientists and philosophers, conditioned by the spell of material nature, suppose that material energy acts automatically, and therefore they are frustrated, like an illusioned person who tries to get milk from the nipple-like bunches of skin on the neck of a goat. As there is no possibility of getting milk from these bunches of skin, there is similarly no possibility that anyone will be successful in understanding the original cause of creation by putting forward theories produced by the material energy. Such an attempt is a manifestation of ignorance. The material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Maya, or illusion, because in two capacities, by supplying the material elements and by causing the material manifestation, it makes the conditioned soul unable to understand the real truth of creation. However, when a living entity is liberated from the conditioned life of matter, he can understand the two different activities of material nature, namely covering and bewildering. The origin of creation is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:10, the cosmic manifestation is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord, who invests the material energy with three material qualities. Agitated by these qualities, the elements supplied by the material energy produce varieties of things, just as an artist produces varieties of pictures by mixing the three colors red, yellow, and blue. Yellow represents the quality of goodness, red represents passion, and blue represents ignorance. Therefore, the colorful material creation is but an interaction of these three qualities, represented in 81 varieties of mixtures, 3 times 3 equaling 9, 9 times 9, thus equaling 81. Diluted by material energy, the conditioned soul, enamored by these 81 varieties of manifestations, wants to lord it over material energy, just as a moth wants to enjoy a fire. This illusion is the net result of the conditioned soul's forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When conditioned, the soul is impelled by the material energy to engage in sense gratification, whereas one enlightened by the spiritual energy engages himself in the service of the Supreme Lord is in his eternal relationship. Krishna is the original cause of the spiritual world, and he is the covered cause of the material manifestation. He is the original cause of the marginal potency, the living entities. He is both the leader and maintainer of the living entities, who are called the marginal potency because they can act under the protection of the spiritual energy or under the cover of material energy. With the help of the spiritual energy, we can understand that independence is visible only in Krishna, who by his inconceivable energy is able to act in any way that he likes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the absolute whole, and the living entities are parts of the absolute whole. This relationship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities is eternal. One should never mistakenly think that the spiritual whole can be divided into small parts by the small material energy. The Bhagavad Gita does not support this Mayavad theory. Rather, it clearly states that the living entities are eternally small fragments of the supreme spiritual whole. As a part can never be equal with the whole, so a living entity, as a minute fragment of the spiritual whole, cannot be equal at any time to the supreme whole, the absolute personality of Godhead. Although the supreme whole and the living entities are quantitatively related as the whole and the parts are nevertheless qualitatively one with the whole. Thus, the living entities, although always qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord, are in a relative position. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the controller of everything, and the living entities are always controlled, either by the spiritual energy or by the material energy. Therefore, a living entity can never become the controller of material or spiritual energies. The natural position of the living being is always as a subordinate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one agrees to act in such a position, he attains perfection in life, but if one rebels against this principle, he is in the conditioned state. So let's see. The natural position of the living being is always as subordinate, a subordinate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one agrees to act in such a position, he attains perfection in life. Who would like to agree to act in that position? Okay. Everyone's good. 67. The Purusha enters each and every one of the countless universes. He manifests himself in as many separate forms as there are universes. When the Purusha exhales, the universes are manifested with each outward breath. Thereafter, when he inhales, all the universes again enter his body. Purport. In his form as Karnadakshai Vishnu, the Lord impregnates material nature by his glance. The transcendental molecules of that glance are particles of spirit or spiritual atoms, which appear in different species of life according to the seeds of their individual karma from the previous cosmic manifestation. And the Lord himself, by his partial representation, creates a body of innumerable universes and again enters each of those universes as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. His coming in contact with Maya is explained in the Bhagavad Gita by a comparison between air and the sky. The sky enters everything material that it is far away from us. What's that? You got to turn it on. There's a little switch at the bottom, no? Okay.
So why does it say, yet it is far away from us? The sky it enters everything material, yet it is far away from us. I was just wondering, why is he saying far away?
Can I have a Bhagavad Gita? Do I have I have one. Fortunate for me. There's a verse in the 13th chapter of the Gita. Is it warm in here? It's too warm in here. Okay. We did our austerities in the other place for being too warm all the time. And we thank all of those who lasted through the many years of scorching, right? Sometimes it'd be 100 degrees inside the temple room, and people still crowded in. We had to winnow out all those who were not so sincere. That's why we did it. In the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, there's a description by Krishna about how the soul never comes in contact with matter actually. And he uses the example of the air in the Where is it? Oh, okay. Thank you. 33. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, although situated in that body. Purport, the air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with this body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. And here, and as the Lord himself, by his partial representation, creates a body of innumerable universes, and again enters each one of those universes Garbhodakshai Vishnu. His coming in contact with Maya is explained in Bhagavad Gita by comparison between air and sky. The sky enters everything material, yet is far away from us. The sky enters everything material that is far away from us. I think it's just another way of saying, pardon?
It's aloof?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just as atomic particles of dust pass through the openings of a window, so the networks of universes pass through the pores of skin of the Purusha. The Brahmas and other lords of the mundane worlds appear from the pores of Mahavishnu and remain alive for the duration of his one exhalation. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom Mahavishnu is a portion of a plenary portion. Purport. This description of the Lord's creative energy is from the Brahma Samhita 548, which Lord Brahma compiled after his personal realization. When Mahavishnu exhales, the spiritual seeds of the universes emanate from him in the form of molecular particles, like those that are visible 3 times the size of an atom, when sunlight is diffused through a small hole. The definition of atom in the Bhagavatam is a little bit different than modern atom. And the idea of it going through a screen window is that when you have a screen, there's a way in which the rays of light come through it, and they're filtered through and they become straight. And therefore you're able to see particles that are much smaller than you can see with the normal eye. And sometimes they sell these glasses in India that have a bunch of little holes in them. And even if you have astigmatism, you can see through those glasses because of the way the light is filtered through the small holes. You can see things that you normally weren't able to see before. In these days of atomic research, it will be a worthwhile engagement for atomic scientists to learn from this statement how the entire creation develops from the spiritual atoms emanating from the body of the Lord. Text 72. Where am I, a small creature of 7 spans of the measure of my own hand? I am enclosed in the universe composed of material nature, the total material energy, false ego, ether, air, water, and earth. And what is your glory? Unlimited universes pass through the pores of your body, just like particles of dust passing through the opening of a window. Purport. When Lord Brahma, after having stolen all Krishna's calves and cowherd boys, returned and saw that the calves and boys were still roaming with Krishna, he offered this prayer. It's in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, 11th verse, in his defeat. A conditioned soul, even one so great as Brahma, who manages the affairs of the entire universe, cannot compare to the personality of Godhead, for he can produce numberless universes simply by the spiritual rays emanating from the pores of his body. Material scientists should take lessons from the utterances of Sri Brahma regarding our insignificance in comparison to God. In these prayers of Brahma, there is much to learn for those who are falsely puffed up by the accumulation of power. Text 73. Ankshara angshaje kalataranam govindera pratimurti Sri Balaram. A part of a whole is called a kala. Sri Balaram is the counterform of Lord Govinda. Balaram's own expansion is called Mahasankarshan, and his fragment, the Purusha, is counted as a kala, or a part of a plenary portion. I say that this kala is Mahavishnu. He is the Mahapurush, who is the source of the other Purushas and who is all-pervading. Garbhadakshay and Shirdakshay are both called Purushas. They are plenary portions of Karnadakshay Vishnu, the first Purusha, who is the abode of all the universes. Purport. The symptoms of the Purusha are described in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. While describing the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the author has quoted from the Vishnu Purana 6.859, where it says, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Purushottam, Lord Krishna, who is always free from the contamination of the 6 material dualities, whose plenary expansion Mahavishnu glances over matter to create the cosmic manifestation, who expands himself in various transcendental forms, all of which are one and the same, who is the master of all living entities, who is always free and liberated from the contamination of material energy, and who, when he appears in the material world, seems one of us, although he has an eternally spiritual, blissful, transcendental form. In summarizing this statement, Rupa Goswami has concluded that the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who acts in cooperation with the material energy, is called the Purusha. Vishnos tu trini rupani purushakyan yato vidu ekam tu mahata shastri dvitiyam twanda samstitaha tritiyam sarvabhutastam tani gyatva vimochite. Vishnu has 3 forms called Purushas. The first, Mahavishnu, is the creator of the total material energy, Mahat. The second is Garbhadakshayi, who is situated within each universe. And the third is Shirdakshayi, who lives in the heart of every living being. He who knows these 3 becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. This verse appears in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, where it has been quoted by the Sattva Tantra. We're going to get the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, by the way, because Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu translated it, and the Sanskrit school is coming out with that Laghu Bhagavatamrita soon. We'd like to be the first ones to get it, hear it. Maybe that can be arranged. We're working on it, being the suppliers of these books. Laghu Bhagavatamrita. We'll have a marathon and read the whole thing. We did that last year when I got to Vrindavan. I had been trying to get my hands on the Tattva Sandarbha for months, and I couldn't even get one copy. And so when I got to Vrindavan, my first order of business was to procure a copy of the Tattva Sandarbha. And then we had readings in my little room up in Vrindavan that Atma Shakti so kindly loans me every year. And we spent 4 or 5 hours a day just reading that Tattva Sandarbha until we finished it. And that's real life, you know? You just curl up in a room, lock the doors, and tell people we can't be bothered, and just read all the way through. Vittal likes it, right? He's in ecstasy. It's nice, though, right? Humans can absorb this kind of thing, and the more you absorb, the more you become spiritually elevated, even without your perceiving it exactly right away. I mean, it has an imperceivable effect at first, like radiation. You can't quite see how it's affecting you. You know, you go to the dentist and they just go, that's it. You didn't see a thing, didn't feel a thing, but the effect is there. And gradually it will manifest in powerful ways. Malini. It's in collaboration with the BBT, and the details of, you know, of how it's going to be counted as a BBT book, we still have to work out. But in the meantime, it's still a worthwhile cause to propagate, you know, as much as possible. For it's not possible to do that kind of thing as much.
Prabhuji, in the previous verse, in the prayer that was offered in 76, what was the 6 dualities that Krishna does not come under? It was mentioned in that verse.
There's fatigue. I think you can look this one up. I can't remember all. I think they're mentioned in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam in the prayers of personified Vedas, as Prabhupada calls them, the 6 whips. If you can look that up, the whips. She'll let us know. Anything else? Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Yes.
I think you should have a calendar, what books you're going to be reading to the program to publish with the
We'll have a calendar, and yeah, of covering all these books, right? Yeah. 16 hours. Yeah, I'm already thinking how we're going to finish the Ramayana after we finish this. It's like Naimisaranya. They sat down for 1,000 years, and all the sages there just wanted to hear for 1,000 years. You tell your boss and everyone, you know, I got to go to a seminar. How long is it? 1,000 years. I'll be back in 1,000 years. It's worthwhile to hear for 1,000 years. Although Karnadakshay Vishnu is called a Kala of Lord Krishna, he is the source of Matsya, Kurma, and the other incarnations. All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In every age, he protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. Purport, this quotation is from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28. That Purusha, Karnadakshay Vishnu, is the performer of creation, maintenance, and destruction. He manifests himself in many incarnations, for he is the maintainer of the world. That fragment of the Supreme Lord, known as the Mahapurush, appears for the purpose of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and is called an incarnation. That Mahapurush is identical with the personality of Godhead. He is the original incarnation, the seed of all others, and the shelter of everything. 83. The Purusha, Mahavishnu, is the primary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Time, nature, prakriti as cause and effect, the mind, the material elements, false ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form, complete independence, and the moving and non-moving beings appear subsequently as his opulences. Purport, describing the incarnations and their symptoms, the Laghu Bhagavatamrita has stated that when Lord Krishna descends to conduct the creative affairs of the material manifestation, he is an avatar or incarnation. The two categories of avatars are empowered devotees and Tadikatma Rupa, the Lord himself. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's Adi 5:83 in the purport. The 6 whips: hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. You're welcome. Thank you to the research team in the front. The two categories of avatars are empowered devotees, Tadikatma and Tadikatma Rupa, the Lord himself. An example of Tadikatma Rupa is Shesha, and an example of a devotee is Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna. Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan has commented that the material cosmic manifestation is a partial kingdom of God where God must sometimes come to execute a specific function. The plenary portion of the Lord, through whom Lord Krishna executes such actions, is called Mahavishnu, who is the primal beginning of all incarnations. Inexperienced observers presume that the material energy provides both the cause and the elements of the cosmic manifestation, and that the living entities are the enjoyers of material nature. But the devotees of the Bhagavat school, which has scrutinizingly examined the entire situation, can understand that material nature can independently be neither the supplier or the material of the material elements nor the cause of the material manifestation. Material nature gets the power to supply the material elements from the glance of the Supreme Purusha, Mahavishnu, and when empowered by him, she is called the cause of the material manifestation. Both features of material nature as the cause of the material creation and as the source of its elements exist due to the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The various expansions of the Supreme Lord who act to empower the material energy are known as plenary expansions or incarnations. As illustrated by the analogy of many flames lit from one flame, all these plenary expansions and incarnations are as good as Vishnu himself. Nevertheless, because of their activities in controlling Maya, sometimes they are known as Mayika, or having a relationship with Maya. This is a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.6.42. Text 84. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord expanded himself in the form of the Purusha incarnation, accompanied by all the ingredients of material creation. First, he created the 16 principal energies suitable for creation. This was for the purpose of manifesting the material universes. Purport. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 131. The commentary of Madhva on Srimad Bhagavatam mentions that the following 16 spiritual energies are present in the spiritual world. 1. Shri. 2. Pu. 3. Nila. 4. Kanti. 5. Kirti. 6. Tushti. 7. Gir. 8. Pushti. 9. Satya. 10. Jnana. 11. Jaya. Utkarshini. 12. Vimala. 13. Yogamaya. 14. Pravi. 15. Ishana. And 16. Anugraha. In his commentary on the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan has said that the above energies are also known by 9 names. Vimala, Utkarshini, Jnana, Kriya, Yoga, Pravi, Satya, Ishana, and Anugraha. In the Bhagavat Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami, text 103, they are described as Shri, Pushti, Gir, Kanti, Kirti, Tushti, Ila, Jaya, Vidya, Maya, Samvit, Sandini, Hladini, Bhakti, Murti, Vimala, Yoga, Pravi, Ishana, Anugraha, etc. All these energies act in different spheres of the Lord's supremacy. Everyone okay? Text 85. Although the Lord is the shelter of everything, and although all the universes rest in him, he is the supersoul. He, as the supersoul, is also the support of everything. Although he is thus connected with the material energy in 2 ways, he does not have the slightest contact with it. Purport. In the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami, commenting upon the Lord's transcendental position beyond the material qualities, says that Vishnu, as the controller and superintendent of material nature, has a connection with the material qualities. That connection is called yoga. However, the person who directs a prison is not also a prisoner. Similarly, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu directs or supervises the qualitative nature, he has no connection with the material modes of nature. The expansions of Lord Vishnu always retain their supremacy. They are never connected with the material qualities. One may argue that Mahavishnu cannot have any connection with the material qualities, because if he were so connected, Srimad Bhagavatam would not state that material nature, ashamed of her thankless task of acting to induce the living entities to become averse to the Supreme Lord, remains behind the Lord in shyness. In answer to this argument, it may be said that the word guna means regulation. Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva are situated within this universe as the directors of the 3 modes, and their connection with the modes is known as yoga. This does not indicate, however, that these personalities are bound by the qualities of nature. Lord Vishnu specifically is always the controller of the 3 qualities. There is no question of his coming under their control. Although the causal and element-supplying features exist in material nature, by dint of the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is never affected by glancing over the material qualities. By the will of the Supreme Lord, the different qualitative changes in the material world take place. But there is no possibility of material affection, change, or contamination for Lord Vishnu. Text 87. This is the opulence of the Lord. Although situated within the material nature, he is never affected by the modes of nature. Similarly, those who have surrendered to him and have fixed their intelligence upon him are not influenced by the modes of nature. Purport. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 111:38. E mata gita hiya puna puna kai sarvada ishara tato achinta shakti hai. Thus the Bhagavad Gita also states again and again that the absolute truth always possesses inconceivable power. Lord Krishna said, I am situated in the material world and the world rests in me, but at the same time I am not situated in the material world, nor does it rest in me in truth. Purport, nothing in existence is possible unless energized by the will of the Lord. The entire manifested creation is therefore resting on the energy of the Lord. But one should not therefore presume that the material manifestation is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A cloud may rest in the sky, but that does not mean that the sky and the cloud are one and the same. Similarly, the qualitative material nature and its products are never identical with the Supreme Lord. The tendency to lord it over material nature or Maya cannot be a feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he descends to the material world, he maintains his transcendental nature unaffected by the material qualities. In both the spiritual and material worlds, he is always the controller of all energies. The uncontaminated spiritual nature always exists within him. The Lord appears and disappears in the material world in different features for his pastimes, yet he is the origin of all cosmic manifestations. The material manifestation cannot exist separate from the Supreme Lord. Yet Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in spite of his connection with the material nature, cannot be subordinate to nature's influence. His original form of eternal bliss and knowledge is never subordinate to the three qualities of material nature. This is a specific feature of the Supreme Lord's inconceivable potencies. Text 90. O Arjuna, you should know this as my inconceivable opulence. This is the meaning propagated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. That Mahapurusha, Karnadakshay Vishnu, is known as a plenary part of him who is Lord Nityananda Balaram, the favorite associate of Lord Caitanya. I have thus explained the 9th verse, and now I shall explain the 10th. Please listen with rapt attention. Yashyam shamsha shrilagarbho dashayi yanabhyabjam lokasanghata Lokashashtus sutikadhama datus tam Srinityananda Ramam prapadye. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, a partial part of whom is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu sprouts the lotus that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of the multitude of planets. Purport. In the Mahabharata, Shanti Parva, it is said that he who is Pradyumna is also Aniruddha. He is also the father of Brahma. Thus, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu are identical plenary expansions of Pradyumna, the original deity of Brahma, who is born from the lotus flower. It is Pradyumna who gives Brahma direction for cosmic management. A full description of Brahma's birth is given in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 3rd canto. Describing the features of the three Purushas, the Laghu Bhagavatamrita says that Garbhodakshaya Vishnu has a four-handed form, and when he himself enters the hollow of the universe and lies down in the ocean of milk, he is known as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is the supersoul of all living entities, including the demigods. In the Sattva Tantra, it is said that the 3rd Purusha incarnation, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, is situated as the supersoul in everyone's heart. He is an expansion of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu for pastimes. Text 94. After creating millions of universes, the first Purusha entered into each of them in a separate form as Sri Garbhodakshayi. Entering the universe, he found only darkness, with no place in which to reside. Thus he began to consider. Then he created water from the perspiration of his own body, and with that water filled half the universe. The universe measures 500 million yojanas. Its length and breadth are one and the same. After filling half the universe with water, he made his own residence therein and manifested the 14 worlds in the other half. Purport: the 14 worlds are enumerated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 5th chapter. The upper planetary systems are Bhu, Bhuvar, Swar, Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satya. The 7 lower planetary systems are Tala, Atala, Vitala, Nitala, Talatala, Mahatala, and Sutala. The lower planets as a whole are called Patala. Among the upper planetary systems, Bu, Bhuvar, and Swar constitute Swargaloka, and the rest are called Martya. The entire universe is thus known as Triloka. For detailed explanation of those various planets and their modes of living and worship and consciousness and so forth, you can consult the Sri Brihat Bhagavatamrita, which describes in sequence the various upper planetary systems and those who reside there and the predominating deity there in those various planets. Text 99. There he manifested Vaikuntha as his own abode and rested in the waters on the bed of Lord Shesha. He lay there with Ananta as his bed. Lord Ananta is a divine serpent having thousands of heads, thousands of faces, thousands of eyes, and thousands of hands and feet. He is the seed of all incarnations and is the cause of the material world. Purport: in the reservoir of water first created by the perspiration of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, the Lord lies on the Shesha plenary expansion of Vishnu, who is described in Srimad Bhagavatam and in the four Vedas as follows: Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasraksa Sahasrapat Zabhuming Vishyato Vridvat Atitishtat Shangulam. The Vishnu form, called Ananta Shayana, has thousands of hands and legs and thousands of eyes, and he is the active generator of all the incarnations within the material world. 102. From his navel grew a lotus flower, which became the birthplace of... Within the stem of that lotus were the 14 worlds. Thus the Supreme Lord, as Brahma, created the entire creation. Vishnu Rupa Hoy Kare Jagat Palane Gunatita Vishnu Sparsha Nahi Maya Gune. And as Lord Vishnu, he maintains the entire world. Lord Vishnu, being beyond all material attributes, has no touch with the material qualities. Purport: Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan says that although Vishnu is the predominating deity of the quality of goodness in the material world, he is never affected by the quality of goodness, for he directs that quality simply by his supreme will. It is said that all living entities can derive all good fortune from the Lord simply by his will. In the Vamana Purana, it is said that the same Vishnu expands himself as Brahma and Shiva to direct the different qualities. Because Lord Vishnu expands the quality of goodness, he has the name Sattvatanu. The multifarious incarnations of Kshirodakshay Vishnu are known as Sattvatanu. Therefore, in all Vedic scriptures, Vishnu has been described as being free from all material qualities. In the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Hararhi nirguna sakshat purusha prakrite paraha sasarvadrig upadrashta tamba jan nirguno bhavet. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is always uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, for he is beyond the material manifestation. He is the source of the knowledge of all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, and he is the witness of everything. Therefore, one who worships the Supreme Lord Vishnu also attains freedom from the contamination of material nature. That's from Bhagavatam 10.88.5. One can attain freedom from the contamination of material nature by worshipping Vishnu, and therefore he is called Sattvatanu, as described above. Text 105. Assuming the form of Rudra, he destroys the creation. Thus, creation, maintenance, and dissolution are created by his will. Purport: Maheshwar, or Lord Shiva, is not an ordinary living being, nor is he equal to Lord Vishnu. Effectively comparing Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, the Brahma Samhita says that Vishnu is like milk, whereas Shiva is like yogurt. Yogurt is nothing but milk, but nevertheless, it is milk also. Text 106. He is the Supersoul, Hiranyagarbha, the cause of the material world. The universal form is conceived as his expansion. That Lord Narayan is part of a plenary part of Lord Nityananda Balaram. who is the source of all incarnations. I have thus explained the 10th verse. Now please listen to the meaning of the 11th verse with all your mind. Yasyam sham sham sha paratma kilanam poshta vishnur bhati dugdhabdi shayi shauni parta yat kala sopyanantas tamshi nityananda ramam prapadye. I offer my respectful obeisances under the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, whose secondary part is the Vishnu lying in the ocean of milk. That Kshirodakshai Vishnu is the supersoul of all living entities and the maintainer of all the universes. Sheshanaga is his further subpart. The material planets rest within the stem that grows from the lotus navel of Lord Narayan. Among these planets are 7 oceans. There, in part of the ocean of milk, lies Shvetadweep, the abode of the sustainer, Lord Vishnu. Purport: in the Siddhanta Shiromani, an astrological text, the different oceans are described as follows. 1, the ocean of salt water. 2, the ocean of milk. 3, the ocean of yogurt. 4, the ocean of clarified butter. 5, the ocean of sugarcane juice. 6, the ocean of liquor. And 7, the ocean of sweet water. Sweet water. On the southern side of the ocean of salt water is the ocean of milk, where Lord Kshirodakshai Vishnu resides, where he resides. He is worshipped there by demigods like Brahma. Text number 112. He is the supersoul of all living entities. He maintains this material world, and he is its Lord. Purport: the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Purva 2.36 through 42, gives the following description of the Vishnu Loka within this universe, quoted from the Vishnu Dharmottara. Above Rudra Loka, the planet of Lord Shiva, is the planet called Vishnu Loka, 400,000 miles in circumference, which is inaccessible to any mortal living being. Above that Vishnu Loka and east of the Sumeru Hill, is a golden island called Maha Vishnu Loka in the ocean of salt water. Lord Brahma and other demigods sometimes go there to meet Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu lies there with the goddess of fortune, and it is said that during the 4 months of the rainy season he enjoys sleeping on the Sheshanaga bed. East of Sumeru is the ocean of milk, in which there is a white city on a white island where the Lord can be seen sitting with his consort Lakshmiji on a throne of Shesha. That feature of Vishnu also enjoys sleeping during the 4 months of the rainy season. The Shvetadweep in the Milk Ocean is situated just south of the ocean of salt water. It is calculated that the area of Shvetadweep is 200,000 square miles. This transcendently beautiful island is decorated with desire trees to please Lord Vishnu and his consort. There are references to Shvetadweep in the Brahmanda Purana, Vishnu Purana, Mahabharata, and Padma Purana. And there is the following reference in Srimad Bhagavatam. Shvetadipa patau chittam shudhe dharma mayi dharayan Shvetatam yati shad urmi rahito naraha. My dear Uddhava, you may know that my transcendental form of Vishnu in Shvetadweep is identical with me in divinity. Anyone who places this Lord of Shvetadweep within his heart can surpass the pangs of the 6 material tribulations: hunger, thirst, birth, death, lamentation, and illusion. Thus one can attain his original transcendental form. 113. In the ages and millenniums of Manu, he appears as different incarnations to establish the principles of religion and vanquish the principles of irreligion. Purport: the Lord Vishnu, who lies in the ocean of milk, incarnates himself in various forms to maintain the laws of the cosmos and annihilate the causes of disturbance. Such incarnations are visible in every manvantar, that is, in the course of the reign of each Manu, who lives for 71 times 4,320,000 years. 14 such Manus take their birth and die to yield a place for the next during one day of Brahma. Unable to see him, the demigods go to the shore of the ocean of milk and offer prayers to him. Purport. The denizens of heaven who live in the planetary systems beginning from Swarloka, cannot even see Lord Vishnu in Shwetadweep. Unable to reach the island, they can simply approach the beach of the Milk Ocean to offer transcendental prayers to the Lord, appealing to him on special occasions to appear as an incarnation. He then descends to maintain the material world. His unlimited opulences cannot be counted. That Lord Vishnu is but a part of a plenary portion of Lord Nityananda, who is the source of all incarnations. Purport. The Lord of Shwetadweep has immense potency for creation and destruction. Sri Nityananda Prabhu, being Baladev himself, the original form of Shankarshana, is the original form of the Lord of Shwetadweep. That same Lord Vishnu, in the form of Lord Shesha, holds the planets on his heads, although he does not know where they are, for he cannot feel their existence upon his heads. His thousands of extended hoods are adorned with dazzling jewels surpassing the sun. The universe, which measures 500 million yojanas in diameter, rests on one of his hoods like a mustard seed. Purport. The Lord of Shwetadweep expands himself as Sheshanag, who sustains all the planets upon his innumerable hoods. These huge global spheres are compared to grains of mustard resting on the spiritual hoods of Sheshanag. The scientist's law of gravity is a partial explanation of Lord Shankarshana's energy. The name Sankarshana has an etymological relationship with the idea of gravity. There is a reference to Sheshanag in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, where it is said, "O my Lord, the hymns of the Vedas proclaim that you are the effective cause for the creation, maintenance, and destruction. But in fact, you are transcendental to all limitations and are therefore known as unlimited. On your thousands of hoods rest the innumerable global spheres, like grains of mustard, so insignificant that you have no perception of their weight." Lord Anantadev has thousands of hoods, each sustains a global sphere that appears like a grain of mustard. That Anantashesha is the devotee incarnation of Godhead. He knows nothing but service to Lord Krishna. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha has described Sheshanaga as follows. Sri Anantadev has thousands of faces and is fully independent. Always ready to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he waits upon him constantly. Sankarshan is the first expansion of Vasudev, and because he appears by his own will, he is called Swarat, fully independent. He is therefore infinite and transcendental to all limits of time and space. He himself appears as the thousand-headed Shesha. In the Skanda Purana, in the Ayodhya Mahatmya chapter, the demigod Indra requested Lord Shesha, who is standing before him as Lakshman, "Please go to your eternal abode Vishnuloka, where your expansion Shesha, with his serpentine hoods, is also present." After thus dispatching Lakshmana to the regions of Patala, Lord Indra returned to his abode. This quotation indicates that the Sankarshan of the quadruple form descends with Lord Ram as Lakshman. When Lord Ram disappears, Shesha again separates himself from the personality of Lakshman. Shesha then returns to his own abode in the Patala regions, and Lakshman returns to his abode in Vaikuntha. The Laghu Bhagavatamrita gives the following description. The Sankarshan of the second group of quadruple forms appears as Rama, taking with him Shesha, who bears the global spheres. There are two features of Shesha. One is the bearer of the globes, and the other is the bedstead servitor. The Shesha who bears the globes is a potent incarnation of Shankarshana, and therefore he is sometimes also called Sankarshana. The bedstead feature of Shesha always presents himself as an eternal servitor of the Lord. Text 121. With his thousands of mouths he sings the glories of Lord Krishna, but although he always sings in that way, he does not find an end to the qualities of the Lord. The four Kumaras hear Srimad Bhagavatam from his lips, and they in turn repeat it in the transcendental bliss of love of Godhead. He serves Lord Krishna assuming all the following forms: umbrella, slippers, bedding, pillow, garments, resting chair, residence, sacred thread, and throne. He is thus called Lord Shesha, for he has attained the ultimate end of servitude to Krishna. He takes many forms for the service of Krishna, and thus he serves the Lord. Trishap?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, is there a relation between Lord Sankarsana and Lord Shankara?
And Lord Shankara?
Yes.
Uh,
Because they seem coming from the same root, Sankarsana and Shankar.
no. Lord Shankara, you're talking about Lord Shiva.
Yes.
No, not. It's not. He's not described as having a relationship with Lord Shankara. Yes.
One quick question. It was Nityananda takes the form of Shesha, like how we read that. But sometimes we say that if one is very envious, then he takes the form of a snake in their next birth, like that. Why does Nityananda take the form of a Shesha? Is there any significance, like the form of a snake that he takes, or is it like he just takes?
He just is. From these conclusions, we can know the limit of the truth of Lord Nityananda. For what glory is there in calling him Ananta? But I accept it as the truth because it has been said by devotees. Since he is the source of all incarnations, everything is possible in him. They know that there is no difference between the incarnation and the source of all incarnations. Previously, Lord Krishna was regarded in the light of different principles by different people. Some said that Krishna was directly Lord Narayan, and some called him Lord Vamanadev, incarnate. Some called Lord Krishna an incarnation of Lord Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. All these names are true. Nothing is impossible. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna appears, he is the shelter of all plenary parts. Thus, at that time, all his plenary portions join in him. In whatever form one knows the Lord, one speaks of him in that way. In this, there is no falsity, since everything is possible in Krishna. Purport. In this connection, we may mention an incident that took place between two of our sannyasis while we were preaching the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in Hyderabad. One of them stated that Hari Rama refers to Sri Balaram, and the other protested that Hari Rama means Lord Rama. Ultimately, the controversy came to me, and I gave the decision that if someone says that the Rama in Hari Rama is Lord Ramachandra, and someone else says that the Rama in Hari Rama is Sri Balaram, both are correct, because there is no difference between Sri Balaram and Lord Rama. Here in Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, we find that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has stated the same conclusion. Jai Jai Rupe Jane, She Tata Kahe, Shakalo Sambhave Krishne, Kichu Mitta Nahe. If someone calls Lord Ramachandra by the vibration Hari Rama, understanding it to mean, O Lord Ramachandra, he is quite right. Similarly, if one says that Hari Rama means, O Sri Balaram, he is also right. Those who are aware of the Vishnu Tattva do not fight over all these details. In the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami has explained Krishna's being both Kshirodakshayi Vishnu and Narayan in the spiritual sky and expanding in the quadruple forms known as Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. He has refuted the idea that Krishna is an incarnation of Narayan. Some devotees think that Narayan is the original personality of Godhead and that Krishna is an incarnation. Even Shankaracharya, in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, has accepted Narayan as the transcendental personality of Godhead who appeared as Krishna, the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. Therefore, this matter may be difficult to understand, but the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, headed by Rupa Goswami, has established the principle of the Bhagavad, has established the principle of the Bhagavad Gita that everything emanates from Krishna, who says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavaha, I am the original source of everything. Everything includes Narayan. Therefore, Rupa Goswami in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita has established that Krishna, not Narayan, is the supreme original personality of Godhead. In this connection, he has quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.15 that states, Srishanta Rupesh Vatarai Swarupayar Abhyardhyamanesh Anukam Pitatma Paravaresho Mahad Angsha Yukto Hyajo Pijato Bhagavan Yatagnihi. When pure devotees of the Lord like Vasudeva are greatly disturbed by dangerous demons like Kamsa, Lord Krishna joins with all his pastime expansions, such as the Lord of Vaikuntha, and although unborn, manifests just as fire becomes manifest by the friction of arani wood. Arani wood is used to ignite a sacrificial fire without matches or any other flame. Just as fire appears from arani wood, the Supreme Lord appears when there is friction between devotees and non-devotees. When Krishna appears, he appears in full, including within himself all his expansions, such as Narayan, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. Krishna is always integrated with his other incarnations, like Nrsingadev, Varaha, Vaman, Narnarayan, Hayagriva, and Ajita. In Vrindavan, Lord Krishna sometimes exhibits the functions of such incarnations. In the Brahmanda Purana, it is said, the same personality of Godhead who is known in Vaikuntha as the four-handed Narayan, the friend of all living entities, and in the milk ocean as the Lord of Shvetadweep, and who is the best of all Purushas, appeared as the son of Nanda. In a fire there are many sparks of different dimensions. Some of them are very big and some are small. The small sparks are compared to the living entities, and the large sparks are compared to the Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. All the incarnations emanate from Krishna, and after the end of their pastimes, they again merge with Krishna. Therefore, in the various Puranas, Krishna is described sometimes as Narayan, sometimes as Kshirdakshai Vishnu, sometimes as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and sometimes as Vaikuntanath, the Lord of Vaikuntha. Because Krishna is always full, Mula Sankarshan is in Krishna, and since all incarnations are manifested from Mula Sankarshan, it should be understood that he can manifest different incarnations by his supreme will, even in the presence of Krishna. Such sages have therefore glorified the Lord by different names. Thus, when the original person, the source of all incarnations, is sometimes described as an incarnation, there is no discrepancy. 133. Therefore, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu has exhibited to everyone all the pastimes of all the various incarnations. Thus, Lord Nityananda has unlimited incarnations. In transcendental emotion, he calls himself a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Sometimes he serves Lord Chaitanya as his guru, sometimes as his friend, and sometimes as his servant, just as Lord Balaram played with Lord Krishna in these three different moods of Vraja. Playing like a bull, Lord Balaram fights with Krishna head to head, and sometimes Lord Krishna massages the feet of Lord Balaram. He considers himself a servant and knows Krishna to be his master. Thus, he regards himself as a fragment of his plenary portion. Acting just like ordinary boys, they played like roaring bulls as they fought each other, and they imitated the calls of various animals. Purport. This and the following quotation are from the Bhagavatam, 10th canto. Sometimes when Lord Krishna's elder brother, Lord Balaram, felt tired after playing and lay his head on the lap of a cowherd boy, Lord Krishna himself served him by massaging his feet. Who is this mystic power, and where has she come from? Is she a demigod or a demoness? She must be the illusory energy of my master, Lord Krishna, for who else can bewilder me? Purport. The playful pastimes of the Lord caused suspicion in the mind of Lord Brahma, and therefore Lord Brahma, to test Krishna's lordship, stole all the Lord's calves and cowherd boys with his own mystic power. Sri Krishna responded, however, by replacing all the calves and boys in the field. Lord Balaram's thoughts of astonishment at such wonderful retaliation are recorded in this verse. What is the value of a throne to Lord Krishna? The masters of the various planetary systems accept the dust of his lotus feet on their crowned heads. That dust makes the holy places sacred, and even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lakshmi, and I myself, who are all portions of his plenary portion, eternally carry that dust on our heads. Purport: when the Kauravas, to flatter Baladev so that he would become their allies, spoke ill of Sri Krishna, Lord Baladev became angry and spoke this verse. Texts? Shraddha? Any texts? Hare Krishna. Nice to see everyone.
Earlier in the lecture, there was a text from Jonathan Prabhu from Hawaii.
From Hawaii, yes.
Yeah, and it was a time when we were talking about Maya and illusory energy. So he says, Srila Prabhupada on a recording says, material illusion only exists in the mind of those suffering it.
Material illusion only exists in the minds of those suffering it. Mm-hmm. Nice. Yes?
You were speaking about devotee chants name Ram. Can you name either Ramachandra or Balaram?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that according to devotee's feelings for Krishna? Is that
Yes.
when he sees like that?
Yes.
Okay, and so then those who are like cultivating the mood of Sakis, maybe they would see like Ramana Manjari, like when we chant the name of
Radhika
Ram,
Raman.
would that also be correct?
Yeah, there's some commentary about that too, yes.
Is there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is coming in my mind, so I need to ask. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna.
We went up to Sacramento the last couple days. There's a wonderful group of devotees that live in Sacramento and also Folsom. So we drove up there on a Saturday, which was yesterday, right? After the program here, we drove up there, and they're renting a yoga studio on a weekly basis. A nice yoga studio. And so we had a program in the yoga studio. They have a big room, about the quarter size of this room, and they set up an altar, and then they have, a portable temple that comes in there. It just so happened on that night, about 6 of the yoga students came to sit in on the class. I was asked to speak about the art of cooperation or something like that, and or I had volunteered to speak about that, and that's what the devotees wanted to hear. And then these yoga students came in, and they said, "Oh, we're here for the bhakti class." So I changed the class, and we talked about bhakti. And we started, at least wanted to cover some of the basics of understanding of spiritual life. For instance, that there's a difference between the body and the soul, and things like that. And we described how material life is fraught with karma because of taking. I'm taking, and therefore I have to pay it back. And then sometimes philosophers try to get free from that debt, and they conceive of a position of formlessness or stillness where there's no more activity. There's no more taking, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be satisfied there or could stay there permanently. But then bhakti is actually giving, and giving in the right way to the supreme taker, Lord Krishna, who can reciprocate perfectly. And that kind of movement is bhakti. And that's eternally viable for the living entity. There's no inebriety in that kind of activity of giving to Krishna. And Krishna talks about this in the Bhagavad Gita, that if you're going to work, if you work for him, there's no reaction. That's practical because everyone has to work. He says in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita called Karma Yoga, Nahi kashit shanamapi jatutishchatya karma krit karyate hyavasha karma sarva prakriti jayar gunai, that because of previous conditioning by the modes of material nature, we're forced to work and act in a certain way now that we've come out in this world. So you can't stop moving, you can't stop working, but you can direct all your activities to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and so forth. One of the yoga students came up to me afterwards. It turned out actually some of them were also teachers, yoga teachers. And her name, she is from, where's she from originally? I think she's from, I can't remember, maybe Australia. But anyway, her name was Shiva. And we said, where'd you get the name Shiva? He said, my father was always interested in Indian philosophy. So he named all the kids by the names of Hindu gods, he said. So my name's Shiva. And she was very interested in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And it occurred to me there's lots of people out there that are connected with some kind of spiritual practice. They're endeavoring, but they don't have a lot of detailed information about spiritual knowledge, about spiritual practice, and so forth. And a lot of the knowledge that people get is contaminated with various ideas that don't really come from the Vedas and so forth. So they get waylaid by that false information, the faulty information. So one of the most important services that one can do is to, first of all, inform oneself about the Vedic knowledge. Even before that, it's important through logical understanding and epistemological study, meaning where do we get perfect knowledge, understanding how do I know what I know. One should become convinced that there is a source of perfect knowledge. This is a problem if one doesn't have this kind of understanding. If there is no acceptance of an axiomatic truth that's infallible, then one can't make any progress, really. But we accept in the Vedic tradition that the Vedas are axiomatic truth and that they come from a non-human source. They're eternal and they're perfect. And that the Itihasas and Puranas are also an expansion of the original Vedas, especially meant for this age. Vyasadeva had unpacked the Vedas, so to speak, in such a way that people in this age could absorb them and hear them properly. And so, having that clear perspective, one can then feel enthusiastic to listen to these narrations. And by that, one gets inspiration to advance in spiritual life. And also, just by the power of the sound vibration, one is impelled to think of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, if one doesn't have a propensity for study, that's all right also, because there's also another process mentioned in the Shastra which is infallible, and that can be executed in this age by anyone, and that is the chanting of the names of God. And the Kali Santarana Upanishad specifically mentions the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It spells out the mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti sodashakam nam kali kalmashanashanam. What's the rest? Sarva Vedishu Drishyate. If you look through all the Vedas, you'll find that they're pointing to this Mahamantra. And that it's the means for deliverance in Kali Yuga. But actually, in this Kali Yuga, because Caitanya Mahaprabhu brings the Maha Mantra and distributes it, not only, I mean, it's a lot more than just a mantra for deliverance from the material life. It is actually a means for attaining prema, which the author of this book, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, claims is the 5th goal of life. Normally people consider dharma, artha, kama, moksha, these 4 things. What's beyond moksha? Moksha is everything. No, the Gaudiya philosophers say, no, there's something higher than moksha, than liberation, and that is prema, Krishna prema, the attainment of love for Krishna. And this was the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that prema pumarto mahan, that the ultimate goal of life is to attain prema. So one can also repeat these names of God in the Maha Mantra, this authorized mantra from the Vedas, and especially if it's the mantra is accompanied by what is called sambandha gyan, or hearing about one's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which we just did. And some might consider it a little bit tedious. I didn't notice that any of you thought that way. I was really actually felt honored to be in the same room because all of you were intently listening to all that detailed information. And I was thinking, is this, am I going too long or something like that? But I kept looking up, and everyone was listening very carefully. These kinds of categories of information describing how Krishna expands himself into Balaram, Balaram into Mool Sankarshan, into the Chaturvyuha, and then into the Purushas who create the material world, and that their glance puts everything in, the glance of the Purusha starts everything in motion and animates the world with the living entities and so forth, and how that all takes place. I don't know, you don't hear that anywhere else, do you? It's pretty rare information, rarefied information. So hearing all that actually strengthens one's resolve to chant Hare Krishna, because the main point Prabhupada kept making over and over again is that there is a supreme creator. The material nature is not independent in creating, and it's not going on automatically. There is a supreme controller, and he also mentioned that he's there within our heart as well. We're really not so far away. And it was also mentioned that the material world is another aspect of the spiritual world where the Lord appears in various incarnations at certain times. So by chanting Hare Krishna, one can come in contact with that spiritual energy directly and experience it for oneself. So here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley, we highly recommend for all those who are interested to start a home practice of this chanting of the Maha Mantra. And one way that you can do this home practice is to carve out some time for yourself each day. And if you'd like a more aesthetic and genuine experience, you can also get yourself some chanting beads. Every culture has some kind of beads that they use for meditating on God. In the Christian church, there's the rosary, and you'll notice that the Buddhists have their beads. And I saw an article once, and it described how practically anywhere you go in the world where there's meditation on God, you'll find these beads. So apparently they're helpful. And you can get some beads, and then take some time every day to shut off everything else, and practice, takes practice, to chant the names of God and listen to the mantra, and notice how the mind is running hither and thither, going all over the universe. And then you can become the witness of that. You can see just how restless the mind is. And then you can have the shelter of bringing back your attention, which is all that you really have, your attention, to the chanting of the mantra, the vibration of the mantra. Now, to help anyone who's interested in this, we have our guide, Sundarananda Prabhu, who's sitting right behind that table in the back, offering obeisances to everybody. There he is. And he's got beads, a big box of beads, which are available. Anyone who wants to take those beads home, I think there's just a nominal fee if you agree to chant at least one round a day. Or you can take them away if you don't agree, and they cost you $100. So you can go the easy way or the hard way. And then Sundarananda Prabhu has a chart available on the table, which will help you to set a goal for your chanting. So at various levels, there's 1 round, 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 8 rounds, 12 rounds, and 16 rounds. You choose one of those and make your stand that every day I'm going to chant this certain number of rounds, and there are names for the different levels that you reach. Srivas Pandit Prabhu just walked past the table, but he can grab the paper there and tell us what the names are. And maybe there's already some devotees who have attained these levels. Sundarananda, are there some devotees here that have already signed up for levels and have reached them? We better get him a microphone quick.
So the names, the different levels are Kaveri, Narmada, Jalangi, Gandaki, Ganga, Yamuna. And the corresponding numbers are 1, 2, 4, 8, 12, and 16.
Do we have any coveries in here who are doing 1 round a day? Yes, let's give her a hand. Let's hear, if we have another microphone, do you mind telling us what your experience is with doing 1 round a day? What's it like to do 1 round a day? Tell everyone your name also, and then...
My name is Trusha, and I just started this as of last week. So today it's been the 7th day. I usually do it right after shower in the morning. I give myself 15-20 minutes, sit in the bedroom with nobody and close the door, and I chant. But what I'm experiencing is, like when I'm chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, I'm hoping to just concentrate on that, but I'm trying to listen to that, but I feel like my mind there is something else happening. And I'm not sure if that will stop, and I'm just thinking about Lord Krishna rather than chanting, but something else going on.
Yeah, it sounds like the normal mode. Because even in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna mentioned this meditation of trying to control the mind to Arjuna, he said that it seems impossible because the mind is so active. So...
Okay, but no, I don't understand. If I'm talking, how can I be talking and at the same time something else going on in the mind?
Have you ever been driving and then you realize all of a sudden you're on the... Once I was in a very distraught condition and I took the wrong way home. They warned me. It was a time when I think it was my mother. Yeah, my mother was in the process of passing away. When I was at the house helping take care of her. And everyone said, be careful driving home because you don't know what you're doing right now. I said, yeah, right, sure. And so I was driving down the freeway and I looked down and I said, where am I? And I was going the wrong direction. And then I realized this is dangerous. The mind can go off in all kinds of different directions.
But if let's say you and I are in a conversation, right? So I'm talking out loud. I'm talking to you, you're responding to me. So my thoughts are right there. At that time, I don't wander away.
It takes practice. I mean, even when you're reading a book, you can miss a paragraph. You can be apparently reading, but at the same time, then you're thinking, oh, I have to, answer these 3 letters. I have to go pick up a sack of potatoes and things like that. And then you realize, I just missed a whole paragraph. So this is altogether possible. So it takes practice. Takes practice and detachment. So listen to the names very carefully and just be a little detached and notice where the mind goes and then bring it back to the sound of the mantra. And don't beat yourself up or feel discouraged by that. It's normal, especially in the beginning. Another Kaveri? Anybody else? Who are you? You're next. Go ahead.
I started with Kaveri, but I promoted myself to like 4.
So you started with Kaveri, and then what's 4?
I don't know what is 4.
Jalangi. So you're on the Jalangi level now. Let's give him a hand. You got to hold that mic right in front of your mouth.
I had a similar problem, like when I was chanting, the mind wanders around. But I don't know whether it is, it sounds maybe a little funny, but what I try is, I imagine like Krishna is here, and the way I converse with, hello, how are you? I try to like address Krishna, hello Krishna, how are you? That is one thing. And I ask about Krishna, how is his parivar? I remember like Krishna's son, Krishna's grandson. That's at least that brings my mind. At least think about Krishna and Krishna's parivar instead of like. At least that is one thing I was trying.
And that's working
that
for
is
you?
Helping.
Very nice. And you're moving up from Kaveri to Jalangi. Very good. Anyone else? Anyone at Kaveri? Anyone else doing 1 round a day? Yes.
I also chant 4 rounds a day. Initially, like I had the same problem like that. My mind was wandering. Then Sri Govindata Prabhu gave me a list. Namastakam, Sikshastakam by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Namastakam by Rupa Goswami. So I started chanting while looking at those things. So then after a while, like my mind was always wandering about the glories of the holy name. Then it never went out. So it's like a circular problem, but you have to keep the same things related to that.
Excellent. Nice advice. So reading something about the glories of the holy name before you start chanting can help fix the mind. Okay, she said she had to keep her eyes closed. So
If I open my eyes, it doesn't work. So
okay, practice different ways. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his book about chanting the holy name, says that there are many different things you can try in order to fix the mind, and different things work for different people. You can go into a room, put a chadar over your head, he says, try sitting in a closet. Also, he recommends sitting with those who have a taste for chanting. If you can sit with somebody else who's chanting, and they have a strong taste, it tends to influence you so that your chanting gets a little stronger. Okay, so now we're going to, so those of you who are interested, you can get on the list and move up from 1 round. You can start with 1 round, move up to 4, try doing, after 4 comes 6, and then 4, then 8, 4, 8, then 12. 4, 8, 12, and 16. So challenge yourself and see if you can do these levels, and we'll try to encourage you every Sunday, and you can check in with your progress and let us know how you're doing. And also, individual devotees can help you during the week also if you need extra help. Yes, Sudeep.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Just wanted to mention about, I spoke with some of the devotees in Sacramento today, and about your lecture yesterday. This is the feedback that I've received. Devotees said that they, in the email that was circulated, they came up thinking about, they're really eager to listen to the lecture, Art of Cooperation. And this is what they said, they got a lot more out of it. It was one of the best lectures that they have sat through.
Oh,
Thank
good.
you.
Glad to hear it.
So naturally, my next response was it recorded? And they did say that it was, and well, yes, so we'll all get a chance to hear that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the feedback. It's a lovely community up there, a big opportunity, and we've planned our first monthly Sankirtan festival. It's on the calendar. And we promised them, I hope not prematurely, that some of the Sankirtan devotees would come up and join them for that Sankirtan festival up there. And then they said sometimes they would all come down here and we could start forming like a Kumbh Mela type of situation. So we look forward to that. Mayapur?
Prabhuji, they are also helping Motel Gita. I think one of the first ones outside, I don't know outside ISV, but to start Motel Gita. And recently, Radha Venkat Prabhu had gifted over $1,000, all the wonderful Bhagavad Gita calendars that we had gifted during the Sankirtan party, and corporate donors were gifted by Radha Venkat Prabhu and other devotees from Sacramento.
Yeah, Radha Venkat Prabhu is a powerhouse. Everywhere he goes, his enthusiasm overflows, and he's very attentive in his devotional service. Very powerful devotee, and there are many more like him up in that. So we have to have a strategy for sealing off the whole Bay Area. So they've got the north, we've got the south. We need to have a military strategy to close it off and then distribute books and chant Hare Krishna. Now we're going to chant Hare Krishna. So all of you don't have beads, get some. Otherwise you can just chant along. And we're going to chant one round of the Hare Krishna mantra on the beads. And you can use your middle finger and your thumb, and you can roll each bead. You don't chant on the main bead, the Krishna bead, but you start on the big side if you have one. There's some of the beads are fatter than the others, and then you go to the small side. And we'll chant in unison. Do you like that, chanting in unison, or would you rather chant individually? Unison? Okay. In unison, everyone said in unison. So first we'll say the Panchatattva Mahamantra. Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanande. Yeah, you know, up in Seattle, or I'm going in a couple weeks, few weeks, something. They started a program at the temple up there of chanting. They get the whole group, everyone in the community signs up for a certain number of names on a certain day, and comes together in whatever time they can and chant in the temple room, and then they tabulate all the names. So they go for, hundreds of thousands of names and so forth, combinedly. So it would be nice to have a Harinam Yajna here sometime. This is just a small taste chanting one round, but we can organize some days like this where the devotees can come together, and you can pledge 4 rounds, or 16 rounds, or 64, or try 108 rounds, and just chant from morning until all the way at night, and don't do anything else. Trishab's volunteering, or are we asking a question? Saturday morning, you're doing that already? Before the class, we can do, yeah. That's possible. Yeah, that's an option. And so now, again, thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and those who have joined us online. We're going to have an Artik ceremony just after this. Please see Sundar Nanda Prabhu, who's waving to us all from behind the table. There he is. And you can sign up for a set number of rounds every week, and he'll get you on the list, and then you can start your home practice, and it will take you to heights unknown previously, just this one practice of chanting Hare Krishna. Yes, Trusha.
I would like to say it was amazing here. I felt like my mind, my mind didn't wander, as I was like, oh, my mind is not wandering, my mind is...
The Sangha helps, doesn't it? Yeah, good to get Sangha. So we'll do it more. More chanting, that's the main thing in life. More chanting, less CNN. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll put all the seats away, and then we're going to have an Artik ceremony where we can chant to our heart's content, and you can dance as much as you like. Srila Prabhupada ki.